90s tunes.
I do.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Hello, hello. Good afternoon. It is already Furry Friday. Okay, Monday was a holiday, but this week flew.
It did.
It flew. And now you guys are going to see us looking all across.
I don't know how we're going to keep track of absolutely everything. I don't know what we're going to do.
We will. Look at all the Instagrammers piling on in.
Hi, Instagram. Welcome to Furry Friday for the first time in 100 years.
Well, taco. We did taco trivia.
We did taco trivia.
So we've got Instagram, we've got TikTok, we've got Facebook. We've got Zayner in the house for Furry Friday.
Yeah.
We have got Danielle helping the customers in the back. We have got Lee. We have got me. Amanda Bear will tell you. No, is it Amanda Bear or girl with GSD that says I'm the queen?
I think Amanda Bear.
One of them says I'm the queen.
And Bailey's legendary. Bailey, the legendary, is not here today. It's her day off today. So
She was here.
she was here earlier. She stopped in.
Yeah. But, and so I'm Carly, for those of you who may not know. And then we've got Zayner, CIO. I think I talked about him, but he gets 2 mentions because he's a movie star too.
Yeah.
And our TikTokers might also notice, look what we got going on up here, you guys.
Right here.
So now, if anybody was to pop in during the live, they'll know exactly what we're talking about today. And today, well, actually, housekeeping. We have a few things. We have a couple things going on. Super cute. Today's the last day, you guys.
The last day.
If you haven't brought your furry dude in,
Zane's like, how could you? I don't like this person. Sorry, Zane, you're stuck with me, huh? You're stuck with me. Yeah. Hopefully the banner helps Bailey and I keep track of what's actually going on. Or maybe not. Maybe we'll just get off topic. Oh my gosh, Charlie's grabbed everything.
I grabbed
all the things. Look at
So-
me, he's reaching out to me. He's like, you left me with this person.
So we are doing bark to school pictures. Today is the last day. We've been doing them since Tuesday. Ridiculously cute, you guys. This is, I'm trying to get not a glare. This is a copy of the class yearbook for 2023 for bark to school. So when you come in and you get your your little bark to school picture, there's Zayner's bark to school. Then you can either just get the mini Polaroid, but why would you just do that?
Why?
When you can also get your own set of 4 3x4s that you can then hand out to your friends.
Whether they want you to or not.
That's right.
I've got so many coming of my kitties.
See, we've got more. There's Lee's kitties as well as Lee's niece and Danielle's baby. We did those school pictures, and then you get a copy of the yearbook. I mean, it doesn't get any cooler than that. I will put those back eventually.
Would you like the monster back?
I'll
Look at
take
him
them.
staring at you like, how could you?
How could you? So Tuesday to Friday, we had bark to school pictures going on. And if you are ordering the deluxe pack, which includes your 3x4s and your yearbook and your mini Polaroid, we will call you as soon as they come in from the printer. So you just get the picture taken today. And then of course we're gonna put them on Facebook. Of course we're gonna put them there. And now it's just me. Then tomorrow we've got our bark to school cafeteria, where you can come in and you can build your furry guy a healthy little snack pack so that you can sample, or your furry guy can sample a bunch of things that they maybe haven't tried yet, so you can see if they like it. So you're gonna try before you buy at the Bark to School Healthy Cafeteria. That's tomorrow. We've got, I head to Toronto next Saturday for Pets Canada's Eastern show. This is the big, it's kind of like a mini super zoo like I went to last month in Vegas, but this is in Toronto, so this is in Canada. And we will see a bunch of our brands there, as well as maybe find some new brands. I was just talking about Toronto. Then what else do we have? Well, it's, you know what, you guys, it's only September. It just started to be September. But we say this every month. We can't believe it's going to be October before you know it. And then look forward to Dogtoberfest. So I'm like, I'm all over the place. Also, House of Paws turns 4 years old officially in October. October 14th is our official birth date. So we will probably do something special for our birthday, because you know how we like events.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Housekeeping that is not about events. Carnivore, if you guys are carnivore feeders, we love our carnivore. And Carnivore is currently in the process of moving their manufacturing from Eastern Canada to Western Canada. There has been a couple challenges. The fires in BC, that's one big challenge. But right now, you're gonna come in and you're going to see that our Carnivore shelves are pretty bleak. And this is simply because the manufacturing kind of took a bit of a hit while moving to the new facility, and then with the fires, it took even more of a hit. So you guys, we are ordering as much Carnivore as we possibly can and getting it as quickly as we can. Bear with us during this time. Carnivore has assured us that the numbers of manufacturing are going to go up very quickly as the BC plant gets back online after the fires. So fingers crossed, fingers crossed. But right now, we've got what we've got, and we're trying to get in as much as we can of the things that are available, but it won't be too long before we get everything back in stock for you. I will get rid of that. Okay. Thank you very much, ladies. Have a fantastic
Come on,
weekend.
Xander, let's go.
Are you going to go?
Let's go.
He says, forget it. I'm a mama's boy. All right, see you guys. All right, so TikTokers, you see across the top that we are doing, and Facebook and Instagram, you may have also seen, we are doing the dirty secrets the pet industry does not want you to know about. So there's some little tricks out there in the pet industry that pet food manufacturers use, pet industry marketing uses. If you've heard me talk about the big pet food marketers, they are marketing wizards, but that's about the only thing they're good at. The product that they're selling, your marketing has got to be really, really good if your products are not. Okay, so if your marketing is terrible for a terrible product, nobody's going to buy it. But if you've got fantastic marketing for a crappy product, people are still going to buy it. So we want to make sure that you guys know what are those dirty secrets in the pet food industry that they don't want you to know about, but we want you to know about. Because you've heard us say it before, we are on a mission to empower as many pet parents as possible, and the more you know, the better you can do. So that's what we want to make sure that you know about.
If you've been tuning in all the time, you know our favorite, well, Bailey and my favorite word is transparency. We say that a lot.
Hey, wait a minute. Where did you get that from? Oh yeah, it's in our core values as a company. So Lee's acting like they made this up.
Yeah.
So from day one, transparency has always been something that House of Paws holds very, very very important to us. It is one of our core values, transparency. We want to be transparent with you, and we definitely want the manufacturers and suppliers that we use to be transparent as well. Hi guys. Come on in, come on in. I see Doodle Dogs is saying hello to little Zaner boy. Hello, hello. We'll want to make sure that Manda Bear is in there.
I see Manda Bear.
Manda Bear.
No.
What?
Manda Bear, where are you?
Manda Bear is late?
Manda Bear?
So not.
Well, we were late the last week, and Manda Bear let us know that.
Like, she's probably.
Oh, there is the shop tour next week. Yes, Manda Bear, it is. I was not going to make it on Friday, but plans have changed. Bailey and I will be here next Friday, and that is when we'll be doing our big store tour. I see Zeus.
Zeus is here for pictures, guaranteed. Zeus is here for his Bark to School pictures. Hi, little man. Hi. Hi, that guy. Hi.
But yes, Manda Bear, store tour next Friday on our Furry Friday at 2 p.m. Bailey and I will be in doing the full store tour. It's going to be very exciting.
I completely forgot about that, so it's a good thing that Manda Bear is keeping us on track.
Yes, we should have had that in housekeeping. Thank you, Manda Bear.
So Manda Bear is our unofficial chat moderator. She makes sure that everything is being taken care of for us. We've just got a bunch of people that are coming in on live on TikTok. We've got some folks on Facebook, and we've got a bunch of folks over on Instagram. So you guys, I'm gonna get into this.
Yep.
You gotta get to
I gotta go.
Yeah.
My dogs are more important to you.
She will be back. She will be back. All right, you guys. So I have scratched down a couple little dirty secrets the pet food industry doesn't want us to know about. The first one I want to start with is that you need to find a food that your dog does well on, and you need to stick with it for a lifetime. That is one of the biggest farces in the industry, and let me tell you why. Where that comes from is the great big pet food manufacturers. What they're banking on is that if you find a food that this dog does well on, the next dog you get, you will also feed him that food, and the next dog, and the next dog, and the next dog. So what they're banking on is your lifetime, not the lifetime of your pet. You know, if you've been with us for a while, that there is nothing further from the truth. We don't want to feed the same food day in and day out for an entire lifetime to our animals. You wouldn't want to eat the same food day in and day out, and neither do they. So we don't want to find a food that our animal does well on and then feed them nothing but. We want to find a variety of foods that our animal does well on and feed them those. Okay, so very different than feeding one food for an entire lifetime. We want to provide variety. A diverse diet is what we're looking to achieve. So multiple brands, multiple proteins, multiple food types. Oh, that would be, sorry, I thought Doodle Dogs was commenting on the live TikTok. I thought they were just, they were all over the place. You guys know our Doodle Dogs. Doodle Dogs in Calgary, Alberta, right next door to us. Stay tuned for a collaborative TikTok that we will be working on. Anyways, okay, back to, do not believe that when somebody says find a food your dog likes or does well on and stick with it for a lifetime. Don't do that to them. Make sure that you're always mixing it up. If you have never introduced new or different foods to your animal, then gradually introduce those. Do it slowly over time. Start as treats, but start building that buffet in the bowl. This is what we tell our folks all of the time. We want to build a buffet in the bowl, provide a diverse diet. Variety is the spice of life. I could go on, you guys, but do not feed your animal one food for a lifetime. All right, he gets heavy. He gets heavy after a while, even though he's only 5 pounds. Sawdust. Sawdust is another little trick. Hack B18 is asking, what about the transition stage when switching food? So great question. Typically, dogs don't take that long to transition. We usually say about 7 days. We've got little cards in store, so if you are in the area and you pop by, we can give you one of our little transition cards. And basically what it is it's telling you that you want to give about 3/4 of your old food and 1/4 of the new food for 2 days. And you're gonna watch both front end and back end, and you're gonna make sure that there's no bad news. The reason we're doing this, especially if we're moving from a lower protein food, thank you guys. If we're moving from a lower protein food to a higher protein food, we need to give the tummy time to adjust. Our furry guys' tummies are very acidic because they are meant to eat meat. We need more acid in the tummy to break down meat than we do carbs. So we want to give the tummy enough time to figure out, okay, how much acid do I need to produce in order to process a high meat diet or a more protein rich diet. The tummy, their tummies will actually adjust the amount of acid that they're producing when we're feeding a more carb heavy diet versus a protein rich diet. So we want to give the tummy time to adjust and figure out how much acid does it need to produce in order to process a high protein rich diet. So 2 days, 3/4 of the old food, 1/4 of the new food. Watching both front end and back end, we want to make sure there's no bad news. If there is any bad news, meaning that something's coming back up or something's coming out loose in the end, we're going to stay on that step until it resolves. All that's happening is the tummy is trying to figure out how much acid do I need to produce here. We've upset the tummy, okay? That's what's happened. So once we know that there's no bad news, front end or back end, we move to day 3 and 4, normally 3 and 4, which would be half and half. Half new food, half old food. Again, watching front end and back end, all news is good news. We move to day 5 and 6. where it's 3/4 of the new food and 1/4 of the old food. And by day 7, you're going straight to new food. That's with dogs. Kitties, a little bit more particular about diet change. They're not so fond of this if we don't do it from day 1. So if we've got a kitty who has for years been eating the same food, and we want to start making that a bit of a healthier food, a better food for them, gradually, and I'm talking like snail's pace, it could be 6 to 12 months to move a cat from a very high sugary carb food to a more meat-based food. The reason is when they're eating a very high carb diet, they actually develop a bit of a sugar addiction. So now, this is my analogy. If I said to you, you can never have chocolate again, and whenever you want chocolate, I'm gonna give you a stick of celery. You'd be like, beat it and give me my chocolate. This is what the kitties are doing when we are trying to take away their very sugary foods, high carb foods full of sugar, and we're trying to give them healthy, good food. We're trying to take their chocolate away. They don't want their chocolate being taken away. But if I said, okay, here, have your chocolate, and I'm just gonna give you a smidgen of celery, you would probably go, okay, and I will eat my celery too because I still get my chocolate. And slowly, over time, I'm going to keep taking away some of the chocolate and increasing the celery, the healthy food, getting rid of the high carb food. But kitties can take anywhere from 6 to 12 months to actually transition, to get off those high carb, sugar-filled foods. So hopefully that helps when we're talking about transitioning. Back to our dirty secrets. You know what? Poor Facebook and Instagram. I got nothing above me, but TikTok, I'm pointing to our dirty secrets the pet food industry doesn't want you to know. Hi there. And so what we're talking about, the girls can help you right in the back.
I'm not. We're just stopping to say hi.
Oh, okay, perfect. So sawdust. Sawdust is another little dirty secret of the pet food industry that they don't want us to know about. If you are feeding or have ever fed or are thinking about feeding a weight management or weight loss food, I want you to look for a product, an ingredient in the panel called powdered cellulose. Powdered cellulose is essentially sawdust. It is an insoluble fiber that our animals cannot digest. So when we're feeding a weight management or weight loss food, it's filled full of sawdust. We feed less food, the animal feels fuller when they eat it, and then they lose weight, and we go, it's the food. No, it isn't. We filled them full of sawdust. So the same thing would happen if we just gave them a bunch of non-nutritious garbage to eat and fill their little bellies. They're not getting the nutrition that we need them to. We're just filling them full of filler in order to make them feel full so that they lose weight. Tell me, in the world of humans, is there one food, if you needed to lose weight or manage your weight, is there one food on the planet that you could eat for the rest of your life that would provide you all of the nutrition that you need? There is not. And there is not for them either. We don't want to fill them full of sawdust in order for them to lose weight. We want to count their calories. We want to figure out what is their ideal weight and what should they be eating based on their ideal weight. So that's a better way to manage weight. Stay tuned for that, or you can always take a look on our website. And if you go down to the bottom of any page, you'll see our calorie calculator for daily calorie calculator for pets. And you can go in there and you can see, based on your pet's ideal weight as an adult, not puppies, this is not for puppies or pregnant females, but as an adult dog or cat, punch in their ideal weight. It will tell you exactly how many calories they should be eating in a day. All right, I'm looking through my little list here. Ooh, this is another dirty little secret that they don't want us to know about. Shelf life. Shelf life for dry food. They tell us basically that kibble is good for 2 years. And that might be true if we never opened the bag. Okay? Shelf life for pet food is not, if we're feeding good quality food, would you buy something that you were going to eat over the next 2 years? You wouldn't. Real food doesn't last 2 years. Dried kibble doesn't last 2 years, not once the bag is open. And I'm going to tell you why. When we manufacture kibble, we have to spray a fat on it after it's been cooked at extreme temperatures, gone through the extruder, basically turned into a slurry, and then made into a little pellet of ick. You've heard me talk about them before. We have to take those pellets of ick and we have to spray them with fat. Afterwards, after all of the baking, all of the cooking, all of the high heat. Bye, baby Zeus. Bye, guys. We have to spray those pellets of ick. There we go. Ugh. We have to spray them with fat to make them palatable for the animals to eat. Those fats are very fragile. So kibble is fresh in the bag, but the minute we crack that bag open and those fragile fats are exposed to light and air, they start to oxidize. That then starts to rot the food. We amp up that rotting if we're taking that bag of dried food and pouring it into a plastic bucket of some sort, because when the fats on the food are oxidizing, they create a chemical reaction with the plastic, then the toxins from the plastic leach into the food, and now not only are we feeding rotten food, we're feeding rotten food that is filled with plastic toxins. So the best thing that we can do if we are feeding a dry food is either get a dry food the appropriate sized bag so that we can feed the entire bag within 28 days. If we can't use the entire bag within 28 days, let's freeze what we can't use within 28 days to ensure we're getting the optimal freshness from that food. You can also take a week's worth of food and store that in an airtight glass container, again keeping it out of heat and light. Keep it in a cool, dark place in your pantry, in a cupboard, and scoop from there to serve, or you can scoop right from the freezer. Be sure that you sterilize that glass container in between every fill. Okay, that's the best way to get our longest shelf life from our kibble. But don't buy, so Zayner's a 5-pound guy. If I went out and bought a 50-pound bag of food, that thing would last him a year or more. Why are you laughing? Were you laughing?
I'm just imagining you buying a giant 50-pound bag of food for little Zane. Like you could fill a bathtub and you could swim in it.
Yeah, I'll put food, yeah. So, shelf life, another little dirty secret they don't want us to know. Okay, I'm gonna go back. This is actually in relation to prescription foods, prescription pet foods. If you guys have been with us for a while, you know that salt can only be 1% of the entire bag. In a dry food, salt can only be 1%. And then anything after salt is less than 1%. That's why we want to see the fruits and veggies before salt, because it actually says that they're in the food, that we're getting some benefit from that food, from the fruits and veggies in that food. But a dirty little trick that they do in prescription foods that are specific to addressing organ issues, whether it's kidney or whether it's liver or what, if it's addressing an organ issue, they increase the percentage of salt. So then the food becomes very salty. That makes the animal very thirsty. The animal drinks a lot of water and they flush their organs. And then everybody goes, oh, it's the food. No, it isn't. The same thing would happen if we gave them a salt lick. All we're doing is making them thirsty because their food is so full of salt. So that's a dirty little secret that they do in the industry as well. If we've got issues with organs, one of the best things that we can do is actually move to a fresh, less processed or not processed diet and eliminate all of those carbs. Lee, jump in, stand by.
We had a question. Is raw better for a cat who's prone to strivate crystals, who possibly could be on the urinary food? Well, yes, that is a great option.
Hi there.
Hi.
Yes, and I will talk about that. I want to show, okay, this is 5 cups of kibble. This is how much sugar is in 5 cups of kibble, guys, and that's about 3 cups. Because with traditional dry pet food, we're looking at about 50 to 70% carbs. Our cats and dogs have no biological requirement for carbs. So when they eat carbs, carbs turns to sugar, and sugar is what feeds disease. So if we have a furry guy that is having some sort of an issue, getting rid of all of this in their diet is key to extending their lives and improving their health. This goes to what I was talking, if you were with us earlier and you saw me talking about how kitties can develop a bit of a sugar addiction. This is why. Because when they eat their food and 2/3 of it is sugar, this is where they develop this sugar addiction. They shouldn't eat sugar, but when they do, they develop a bit of an addiction.
Can confirm the kitties get sugar addiction. When I first was transitioning my kitties over to the really good stuff, they liked it for the first couple of days because it was like a treat, a snack. It was like, oh my gosh, this is just shredded chicken. I absolutely love it. And then the next day, my kitty was like, oh, actually, like, I kind of want that sugary stuff again. And it's like, if I have a salad, I'm going to be like, yeah, that salad tasted delicious. But the next day, probably going to want the cake again.
So a kitty with potential for struvite crystals, should they be on fresh diet? Way better option. Because first of all, a dry food doesn't provide nearly enough hydration for cats or dogs. A dry food only provides 10% moisture. Cats and dogs need 70% moisture. Stones start to develop when we are dehydrated, constantly dehydrated all the time. A fresh diet is more moisture than dry. So a fresh diet is absolutely going to help to prevent stones and crystals. What are you doing? You just want to jump into questions. You don't want to let me
No,
get through the
you go
dirty
ahead.
secret?
No, go ahead. Keep going.
Okay. Dirty secret number, I don't know what I'm on here, 4 or 5. Color. Color being added to food. I think I have an example of color being added to food, you guys. You see how we've got some yellow chunks and orange chunks and red chunks. Well, that's supposed to be representative of food that humans eat because our food is very colorful. We want to see that we've got some meat, we want to see that we've got some green veggies, we want to see that we have some white starch, whatever it is. So pet food manufacturers are like, well, if we make this look more like human food, the people will be more apt to buy it. Because I'll tell you right now, our animals could give 2 craps what color their food is. They do not care. But how they get this color in here, the other deception here is that this color is supposed to make you think, oh, well, there must be some carrots in there and maybe some peas or some meat or, you know what this color is? This color is paint. Literally, paint is what is added to colored pet food. So unless you can actually identify that that is a carrot in my dog's food, or that is a cranberry or a pea because it is a fresh option, we do not ever want to see color in their food. Zane, out of the way. Well, now he's just not going to let you leave.
It's all good. I had a little guy before too, and he was the same way.
So color is a dirty little secret in the pet food industry because it is not the indication of real food. It is actual paint being added to their dried pellets of ick. Leah's taking that back. Okay. Do you want to do some questions now, or do you want me to keep going with dirty secrets?
You can keep going.
I'll keep going. Okay. So we kind of talked about this already, so I want to go back and touch on it. We want to, if we're feeding a dry food, you guys, it is in our pet's best interest to make sure that that is a premium dry option. We can then ensure that there are not controversial or harmful ingredients. If we were eating something with controversial or harmful ingredients every day for our entire life, that is not going to be beneficial to our health. Lots of people will say, my dog is 3 years old and he's got more energy than any dog I've ever seen and I feed him pedigree. And that's fantastic. I don't know how old all of our viewers are. However, you could eat McDonald's every single day in your 20s and still get up and party every night and go to work every morning. But I'll tell you, when you're in your 40s or your 50s or your 60s, it's a different story if you lived a lifetime on McDonald's and then tried to be a functioning human for 20 or 30 or 40 years eating McDonald's. I think that, well, they did. They made a movie about it, Super Size Me. That guy was in premium health, and for 30 days he ate McDonald's, and everything changed. If you haven't watched that, watch that, because that's similar to what we're doing to our pets. If we are feeding bad pet food with terrible ingredients or controversial or harmful ingredients. If you haven't seen Pet Fooled yet, watch that movie. I believe in the States it is on Netflix currently. It is eye-opening. It's an older movie. It's been around for years, but it is still extremely relevant with regards to what goes on in the pet food industry and what kibble is made of. So this is why we're always saying if we're going to feed a dry food, we want to make sure that it is a premium option. And where was I going? Oh, I was going back to, okay, salt can only be 1%. Anything after salt in your ingredient panel is less than 1%. So a trick that manufacturers use is they put on the front of the bag big beautiful pictures of fruits and veggies that are added to your pet's diet, so you're thinking that, ooh, I'm giving them a healthy good food because there's lots of fruits and veggies in here. But when you flip that bag over and you see that all of the fruits and veggies are after the salt, we know that that means there's less than 1%. So if blueberries are listed after your salt and you got a 40-pound bag, you're lucky if there's a whole blueberry, one whole blueberry in that big bag of food. Okay, so we want to see fruits and veggies listed before the salt. That means that we know we're actually getting some benefit from those ingredients being added to the food. You want to keep going?
Question.
Yes.
To go back to the coloring thing.
Yeah.
Somebody said, do you mean food coloring?
No.
So I think we need to clarify what is food coloring and what is being used to color pet food.
Yeah. Okay, if I wanted to go paint my fence, I would go to the hardware store and get paint to paint my fence. That's the paint that's being used to color our pet's food. So if I wet colored pet food and rubbed it across paper, that color would come out of the food, and I could literally, like, I could color a picture with wet pet food.
Yeah. We had another question just talking about when we were talking about fresh diets. Someone said many fresh diets are imbalanced and pets go with malnutrition to the vet.
Homemade?
They just said that most raw food is unbalanced.
Okay, so then, no. Most commercial made raw foods are balanced. Most, but not all. As with anything, we will get what we pay for. If we can go into a store and we can buy a box of raw chicken-based pet food and it's $2 a pound, guaranteed that's not complete and balanced. And then I would say to you, where could you go buy chicken for $2 a pound? So we know that we're probably not getting a complete and balanced raw food diet for $2 a pound. And we can't buy meat that cheap. This is the same, sorry, I'm just gonna flip over here really quick. Chicken jerky treats, right? Oh, I'm gonna go buy a 3-pound bag of chicken jerky for $9. Well, that's $3 a pound. Where are you getting chicken for $3 a pound? If we can't get chicken for ourselves for $3 a pound, we cannot get it for our pets and hope that it's actual quality meat. So, most commercial raw pet foods are complete and balanced, but this is something that you need to ask if you're going to your local independent pet food store. You need to ask, is this complete and balanced? We carry, for the most part, the majority of our raw foods are complete and balanced. Some of them are just meat or a single protein. That means they're not complete and balanced. And we know that. So we tell the customer, if you're buying this, this needs to be part of your rotation, but it cannot be your complete diet. Where vets dislike fresh or raw feeding is exactly what, I'm not sure who it was, but exactly what you're talking about, that fresh diets aren't balanced. If I'm doing it at home with no knowledge of what I need to have in that food, you're right. I could just be throwing some ground beef on the floor and a carrot to my dog thinking I feed my dog raw. No, I'm feeding my dog an incomplete raw diet that will create diet deficiencies. We don't want to do that. We always want to ensure that if we're feeding fresh, no matter what we're feeding, we are feeding a complete and balanced diet. Does that mean that it has to be complete and balanced every single day? No, it does not. But over a week or a 2-week span, we better make sure that we've got a complete and balanced 2-week span in there. And again, I'm going to relate this to us. If I got up in the morning and I went to, because I'm in Canada, I went to Tim Hortons. If I went to Tim Hortons and I had a donut for breakfast and a bottle of peach juice, and then on my way home I grabbed a Slurpee and I had some Doritos that night sitting on my couch, I didn't eat real food not one time in the day, but I will not die. Over the week, I better get some fruits and veggies and meat and all of the other things that I need to have a balanced diet. So that's why I'm saying for your dog, the diet may not be balanced every single day, and that's okay, but we want to make sure that over the span of a time of two weeks to a month that we've got a balance in there. I want to talk about another dirty secret.
Yes, and we had someone say pet food changed my view on everything, and that's when I introduced raw.
Yeah.
That's from IG.
I'm telling you guys, even if you're not in the US, get your hands on pet food. I think it's on YouTube as well. Get your hands on a copy. I literally bought the movie. And so I can watch it whenever I want to, and every time I do, I'm like, oh my god, I forgot about that, or oh, I didn't think about that. It's incredible what goes into pet food, and it will change your life. You will probably stop feeding kibble the next day.
We have kind of a big thread going on that I just want to kind of nip. Says if your vet has prescribed medicated pet food, you should be on it. Manda Bear said medicated food is not real, and this person says I'm a vet tech with a cat who gets urinary blockages. It is 100% real.
So first of all, thank you for caring for our animals as a vet tech. We appreciate that. The unfortunate thing is there is no medication in any prescription food. There are currently several lawsuits against the pet food manufacturers for deceiving the public for that very thing, because one, there is no medicine added to any prescription food. Secondly, prescription foods are not tested for any medicinal purposes to prove that they actually do what they say they do. A lot of people are saying, you know, the big pet food manufacturers, they test their foods and they're, you know, wasaba approved and all of the things. So testing pet food is what is called a feeding trial. They are extremely antiquated. They are outdated. They are all of the things that I can say that they are useless, because a feeding trial means that 8 dogs are going to be fed a food for 6 months. I should do this. 8 dogs for 6 months. However, 2 of those dogs can leave the feeding trial for non-food related issues. So now we're left with 6 dogs that are going to eat the same food for 6 months. A feeding trial is considered successful if collectively as a group those 6 dogs do not lose or gain 10% of their body mass. Then there are about 4 blood markers that are tracked. And that's it. That's a feeding trial. You could probably feed somebody styrofoam for 6 months and they would pass a feeding trial. So that's a feeding trial. And once a big pet food manufacturer passes a feeding trial, they get a free pass when it comes to making prescription food, because they already passed the feeding trial for their grocery store food. So the fact that Hills and Royal Canin and Purina have a variety of different vet formulas, prescription formulas, it's just because they can. It's just because they passed a feeding trial on a non-prescription option and then get a free pass. So I appreciate that you have, you know, dedicated your life to helping animals, but I would strongly encourage you to dig a little bit deeper than the training that Royal Canin or Hills is going to provide for our vets in vet school, because it's one day and it's biased sales training. They are not getting into the nitty-gritty of actual nutrition, and they are They are certainly not going to encourage the feeding of a raw food diet because they don't sell them.
Alrighty. Next myth.
Next myth. I want to talk about canned food. This is extremely important if we have kitties as part of our furry family. Kitties need wet food every day. Not just as a treat, not every once in a while, not 2 or 3 times a week. They need it every day. If your kitty likes their crunchies and wants that satisfying meaty crunch, again, we want to make sure that it is a premium dry food. But also, we want to incorporate wet food as part of their diet. We need to increase the hydration for our kitties. If you were here earlier, you heard me saying that we need, that dry food has 10% moisture, and our cats and dogs need 70% moisture. So if we are feeding our, okay, now I'm gonna back up a little bit with kitties here. Kitties rely on their diets for hydration. They are desert dwellers, and they rely on their diets for hydration. That means the things that they eat, not the things that they drink. So if we're feeding them a dry diet and they're only getting 10% moisture, they are going to be in a constant state of dehydration. Lots of pet parents will say to us, oh, but my cat drinks lots. Here's the problem with that. Kitties are extremely inefficient drinkers. It takes kitties 2,500 little tongue laps in their water dish to get a 1/4 cup of water. So though it may appear as though your cat is drinking a lot, they're not getting a lot of hydration. So wet food is something that if we're feeding dry to our kitties, wet food is something that we have to incorporate into the diet every single day. The little trick that manufacturers use when it comes to wet food is if you flip over the can and the first ingredient that you see is water sufficient for processing, you are feeding a can of water. You've just paid for a very expensive can of water. The first ingredient, just like in our dry food, the first ingredient that we want to see in a canned option is real meat, named proteins. That's the first thing we want to see in our cats or dogs' canned food. We want to see, there's a fly again. Very distracted, you guys. He was hunting me yesterday. I don't know how they get in here. It's that time of year. Anyways, when it comes to a canned pet food, we don't want to see water sufficient for processing as our first ingredient because, like I said, you're just paying for a very expensive can of water then. Are you finding more questions or... See, there goes the fly.
Amanda Bear, I see you. Okay, I see you, Amanda Bear. I'm sure. If you had asked a question and I completely missed you, I am very sorry. But you're doing a great job, Amanda Bear.
What, is Amanda Bear just fielding all the questions?
Yes.
Okay, excellent.
I've been harassed by a fly today, and it won't leave the truck I'm in. I know, the flies they come in and they just harass you nonstop.
It is that time of the year. Yesterday I was in here and I was doing a bunch of things, and this fly was just like, and it's like he's drunk, right? It's not like he can just fly around. He like bounces off. So annoying. Mystery meats. This is another dirty little secret that the pet food industry doesn't want us to know. And this is always a hot topic because there's tons of people saying out there, that's illegal, you're lying, you're spreading misinformation and untruths and all of the things to basically say that I'm a liar, but I am telling you here, and if you watch Pet Fooled, you will see that this is in fact true. Mystery meats, or what the industry refers to as 4D meats. And 4D meat stands for dead, diseased, dying, or disabled. And that does not mean that, oh, we ethically and humanely slaughtered this animal and now it's dead. It means roadkill. It means dead zoo animal. It means a diseased cow that just dropped dead and we have no idea why on the farmer's property. And he says, oh, I got to get rid of this. Pet food is a great place to do that.
This conversation applies to the Fancy Feast question.
Oh, okay, there's a Fancy Feast question?
Is Fancy Feast okay? I'm saying the 4D meat conversation definitely applies to Fancy Feast.
Fancy Feast, not something that, it's not so fancy after all. So the way that we can identify if our pet food manufacturers are using 4D meats or mystery meats, again, remembering dead, diseased, dying, or disabled, and not on purpose. So this is the really hot topic. Euthanized pets, okay? Our babies who get euthanized. It happened in our province. I'm in Regina, Saskatchewan. Our customer had to put their animal down and called us extremely upset because the vet then got a hold of her and said that the animal would be picked up to be taken to a rendering plant to be used as pet food, okay? It happens every day. Spoiled supermarket meat, ever wonder where that goes? I'll tell you where. It goes into the pet food industry because it's waste in the human world, but it becomes meat, mystery meat, in the animal space. And they don't take the time to take the wrapping off or the styrofoam out. It is thrown in. Euthanized pets, collars and all, thrown in. Because what they do is they cook all of this meat into a humongous big slurry so that you can't even tell what it was, and then they remove the moisture to turn that into pet food, okay? So they don't care what goes into the slurry because it is cooked at such high temperatures that it literally turns carcasses into liquid. The way we avoid mystery meat in any of our pets' food or treats is we are always going to look for named proteins. That means that if you see something that says it contains animal meal or meat meal or meat and bone meal, we don't feed it because we don't know what that animal is. We don't know what that meat is. It has to say beef, lamb, chicken, venison, turkey, bison. All of the Americans are just laughing at me now. I just realized that because they say bison. We say bison. Bison.
Bison?
Bison, whatever.
I didn't know there was another way to say it.
There is. They laughed at me in Vegas all the time every time I said bison, because they say bison.
Oh,
Bison.
I didn't know that.
Bison. Anyways,
we have it right.
You want your meat in any pet food or treat that you serve to be identified, and meat or animal is not identified. You need the source animal identified. Okay? Was there?
If not Fancy Feast, then what's the best cat food for hydration? I'd say the conversations we've had, we want meat as the first ingredient when we're looking at foods generally. Again, in cat food, especially if we're looking for a brand, very sneaky thing that cat food manufacturers do, especially in fish recipes, is use a synthetic vitamin K, which we had looked up what the heck it was called. It is a 4-word word. And MSBC, which is it'll say in brackets synthetic vitamin K, that is toxic to pets if we're feeding it day in and day out, day after day. That toxicity builds up. It is not good for our kitties, so we want to find something that has a natural vitamin K source, like dandelion greens is what lots of brands use instead of the synthetic source. So when we're thinking of a cat wet food, we want all those things about transparency that we've been talking about, real meat as the first ingredient, and we want to make sure we're using non-synthetic vitamin K, and the same as everything else, no coloring, no bad preservatives, all of those things.
Oh, I didn't talk about that, synthetic preservatives yet.
However, sorry,
but I wanted, that's okay. The reason, because some of you might be saying, well, why would they put a synthetic vitamin K if it's harmful? The reason is AAFCO, the American Association of Feed Control for our pets, says that you must have a minimum of all of the different requirements in the pet food to make it complete and balanced. And so they identified the minimum requirement, and one of the minimum, we need natural vitamin K. We need natural vitamin K for bone health and blood clotting. But AAFCO says in order to make this food complete and balanced, you need to have a source of vitamin K. They don't say it has to be natural. So in order to be compliant with AAFCO, but reduce their costs, manufacturers go out and find a synthetic version of vitamin K, and so then they can say that they are AFCO compliant, but they don't care that it's going to actually do more harm than good. So again, we want to find all of our wet foods. We want to ensure, and it is, like I said, or like Lee said, it's the fish formulas. We want to make sure that it's a natural source of vitamin K that is being added to any wet fish foods. Oh, synthetics, that's where I was going. All right, you guys, harmful synthetic preservatives is what we want to avoid in our foods. We want to see, and the pet food, again, the pet food industry is not going to tell us this. They're not going to say, oh, come buy my crappy food that I have preserved with the same ingredients they use in jet fuel. They're not telling us that. They simply call it BHA, BHT, or ethoxyquin. And BHA turns into a great big long word, and BHT turns into a great big long word as well, or ethoxyquin. These are 3 different synthetic preservatives that if you flip over a bag of treats or food and you see preserved with BHA, BHT, or ethoxyquin, dump that treat or food immediately. Those synthetic preservatives are used in products like jet fuel, like embalming fluid, which is the liquid they put in a corpse to keep it not shrunk down into a bag of skin. They put it in pesticides. They put it in lipstick so that it doesn't dry out and women can still apply their lipstick. This is not something we want to feed our pets. And when it's in food, we are literally feeding it to them every single day. Imagine yourself eating something as toxic as what goes into jet fuel and embalming fluid every single day. So when you flip over a bag and you see BHA, BHT, or ethoxyquin, BHA, BHT, or ethoxyquin, dump it. Those are synthetic preservatives that we never want to see in our pet's food. We want to see that it is naturally preserved. So you want to look for things like rosemary extract, vitamin C, vitamin E. Those are natural preservatives. And you will see that in the ingredient panel where it will tell you how it's preserved. That's where you're looking. So avoiding BHA, BHT, and ethoxyquin, very, very key for their health. Have you found questions? No? I think I went through all of mine.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Just as Manda Bear has pointed out, I'm also drowning in the comments. I'm trying to keep up, you guys. Apparently my reading level isn't up to snuff for how fast these comments are coming in. I love it. All of the conversations.
I did see one. Somebody was asking about Nature's Logic.
Yep.
That's a great food. Nature's Logic. Now, we don't sell Nature's Logic. I won't get into why. It's local politics that prevent us from selling that. But Nature's Logic has 2 different options, and I think one is called Distinction. I don't know, you guys. I don't know enough about it because we don't sell it. But what I do know is they have a meal-based kibble and they have a meat-based kibble. And I would absolutely sell their meat-based option. I'm going to tell you why I don't like a meal-based kibble. If you were here earlier and you heard me talking about kind of how pet food is made, they create the big slurry of carcasses and whatever else they throw in there. They cook that up to high temperature so that it pretty much just turns to liquid. They remove the moisture and what's left is powder. That's meal. So in our world, think of a steak versus protein powder. Okay? Steak and protein powder both provide us protein, but we have to eat far less protein powder than we do steak to get the same amount of protein or more. So a meal is very similar. It's highly concentrated protein, so it provides about 300 times the amount of protein that actual meat does, but it will never be better than the original source that it came from. Meal is a manufactured product that just amps up the amount of protein that we're getting in a smaller portion. So think about this. Now we're making our kibble. We don't need nearly as much meal as we do meat if we're making a meal-based kibble because it's that much more concentrated and providing that much more protein. but it is a man-made source of protein, not natural. It's not meat. It is the most processed part of kibble, and kibble is already extremely processed. It is an ultra-processed diet. Meal is the most processed ingredient that we can put into kibble. This is why I do not want to see or recommend kibbles that start with meals. I want to see that the kibbles start with meat as the first ingredient.
I don't think there's been lots of questions about different food brands. I don't think there's been a couple of people asking about Farmer's Dog. I don't recognize the name of that brand.
So Farmer's Dog is it's a gently cooked option that is only available in the States right now, and it's direct shipped to your house. Farmer's Dog is a good food, but because of their current business model of direct to consumer shipping to your door, it becomes a very pricey option. You could very likely go to your independent pet store and get a quality diet just as good, if not better, than Farmer's Dog for a heck of a lot less. So if money is no object and you don't care, Farmer's Dog is a great option. It is just very expensive for what you're getting and what you could get if you just went to your independent pet store. Can I mix open farm gently cooked with raw? Sure you can. Be the mad scientist. Build a buffet in the bowl. Get a variety of food types in there. Okay. We would love to see all dogs and cats eating a fresh, whole food diet. But not all cats and dogs tolerate a fresh, whole food diet. And by fresh, I mean raw. If you have an animal that maybe doesn't tolerate raw or doesn't do well on raw, a gently cooked option is a great alternative to a raw diet. It's still fresh, full of moisture. Excuse me. It's still fresh, full of moisture, and we're getting all the benefits of removing those carbs. So you can absolutely do gently cooked with raw. You can do gently cooked instead of raw. You can do it today and then not tomorrow. Absolutely, you can mix it up. Thoughts on Dr. Marty's? I feed it to my dogs. Dr. Marty's looks like a really good food to me. I'm going to look at it a little bit closer because we might bring some Dr. Marty's in as well.
We had a question about making your own raw. You need to learn how. There's plenty of resources online.
Yeah, if you are going to make your own, okay, if you're essentially going to cook for your dog at home, whether you're doing it raw or cooked, I don't care. If you are essentially going to be doing the cooking for your dog at home, that is the best thing that you can do because you 110% control every single thing that goes into their bowl. However, with that said, you need to ensure that if you are going to be preparing your pet's meals at home yourself, that you follow the recipe from an integrative or holistic veterinarian to ensure that you are providing a complete and balanced diet. We have lots of customers that come in and say, oh, he just eats what I eat. Like if we have pork chops, he has pork chops. If we have ham, he has ham. And I'm like, oh my goodness. He probably loves it, but a kid would love going to McDonald's every day too, not eating a complete and balanced healthy diet every day. So we need to make sure that if we're going to prepare our pets' meals at home ourselves, that we are following a recipe from an integrative or holistic veterinarian. So a Dr. Karen Becker, a Dr. Judy Morgan, a Dr. Katie, the natural pet doctor. You want to be sure that you're following their recipes to make sure that you are providing a complete and balanced diet. Buy a Forever Dog.
Yeah. We had talked actually about the Forever Dog. They also have online resources from Dr. Karen Becker that show, like you can print off like recipe sheets, and they have Dr. Karen Becker has all of the nutrients down to the percentage per gram and all of those things. So a very good online resource. Very much big thumbs up.
Yeah. Okay, you guys. None of them tell us how long we've been going. I don't know how long we've been going live.
An hour.
Oh yeah. yes, because yes, there you go. And I'm just not that bright, you guys. Anyways, okay, I hope that this was helpful for you. I appreciate all of the questions. Hopefully we were able to get to as many as we could.
We tried. Amanda Bear, I saw you. You were trying. We were trying to read, you guys. Thank you so much for all of your questions.
We are here until 6 o'clock tonight. You can come and get your Furry Guys Bark to School picture till 6 o'clock tonight. Tomorrow is our cafeteria. Again, we are here 11 until 6. Sunday, noon till 4. It's just me on Sunday, you guys. So Monday, they'll be cleaning up all my messes. And then we're back on Monday at 11. So you guys, if we don't see you in store today or over the weekend, then we will see you online next time. Have a great weekend.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.